Hello and welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, on the programme this evening.
Looking for the light amid the darkness. 2 weeks on from her disappearance, Nicola Bulley's partner Paul says he'll never give up hope.
We're not bothered about anything else. There's nothing else. The only thing is we just have to find her.
Labour wins in West Lancashire, making it their third northwest victory over the Tories in as many months.
We speak to students at the Merseyside school tackling social issues beyond the classroom.
Pep protests City's innocence amidst those Premier League charges. The Manc musician making waves on the other side of the world with a few famous faces as fans.
And in the weather, as we fling ourselves into the weekend, let's see if there's anything to get excited about. All the details coming up.
So please stay with us for all of that. First tonight, 2 weeks on since Nicola Bulley was last seen, her partner Paul has described the unprecedented hell his family are going through.
For 14 nights, her two little girls have gone to bed not knowing where their mummy is. But Paul says they'll never give up hope, as Emma Sweeney reports.
2 weeks of searching, but still no sign of Nicola. Vanished without a trace, leaving those left behind desperate for answers and pleading with anyone who knows anything to come forward.
Please, just come forward with it, please, because that could be the key to finding her. And as a family, we're not bothered about anything else. There's nothing else. The only thing is we just have to find her.
Experts searching for the mother of two have focused their efforts on the River Wyre. It is here where Nicola was last seen walking her dog Willow before she vanished. But so far, the water has failed to provide any clues.
Personally, and again, this is just my opinion, I'm 100% convinced it's not the river. People don't just vanish into thin air. It's absolutely impossible. So something has happened. Something has happened. Find out what it is.
Paul and the rest of Nicola's loved ones will not give up until they find out exactly what did happen. How an ordinary mother went out for a walk on what started as an ordinary day and failed to come home. Emma Sweeney, ITV News, Lancashire.
Well, as those searches continue, Nicola's friends have joined together in vigil at St Michael's on Wyre. Anna Joseph is there tonight. Anna, this is a family and community living life on pause, waiting for answers.
That's so true, Rob. These have probably been the longest 2 weeks in the lives of Nicola's family and friends. 14 days of frustration, fear and confusion. Well, this morning, a group of Nicola's friends gathered here at the church behind me for a vigil for Nicola, a moment of silent contemplation and reflection. Well, joining me now is Heather Gibbons, a close family friend. Heather, why was it so important for you to gather here?
This morning it was just about creating a moment for us to come together, to reflect, to think about Nikki and the family, just to be able to be there with one another, to support each other. And I think by lighting that candle and seeing the flame, it just represented, for me anyway, a light in what feels like a very dark situation. And that light for me is that there is still hope.
When you were lighting that candle, what exactly went through your mind?
Where are you, Nick? Just where are you? I just looked at the photo of her and Paul, and I just hope and pray that we get some answers. My head goes everywhere, but all I could think was how many times we've been at this church together, but the main thing was just where are you?
There's been so much public interest in this case. What's it like living in the village at the moment?
it's very different to normal life. Everything feels pretty upside down. We've been incredibly grateful to so many that have come to help us with the search. The turnout has been amazing, which has meant the world to the family and to the friends. But yeah, it's hard because there have been some who've come to help in their own way, but unfortunately it has caused some distress, especially for elderly people feeling a bit unsafe in their own homes.
You've been in regular contact with Nicola's partner Paul. He has said today that he doesn't believe Nicola fell in the river. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts, to be honest, would just be speculation. What I think tonight could be different by tomorrow morning. We've just got to believe that between the SGI team and the police, we've had the best on that water, and yeah, we've just got to keep hoping that resources will be thrown down all avenues.
Thank you so much, Heather. Well, as Heather mentioned, the police have been out in force today searching the waterways along the River Wye, and they say they remain as committed as ever to providing those answers for Nicola's family and friends that they so desperately need.
Anna, thank you very much indeed.
Well, next tonight, West Lancashire's newest MP has told the Conservatives it's time to move out of the way in a victory speech this morning.
Ashley Dalton comfortably won the by-election for Labour, making it the Tories' third North West loss in as many months, as our political correspondent Lisa McNally reports.
It was the hat-trick they'd been hoping for. This was the walk to Labour's third by-election win in a row, as they held on to their West Lancashire seat, returning an MP to Parliament with more than 60% of the vote.
So I do hereby declare that Ruth Ashley Charman Dalton is duly elected.
It's the beginning of something really exciting, and to have so many people put their faith in me to represent them in Parliament is a real honour.
Westminster's newest MP said she'll celebrate with a good sleep because the hard work starts now.
My first priority is to start to tackle the things that really matter to people in West Lancashire, and that's the Ormskirk A&E, which is a direct result of underfunding in our NHS, and public transport and the roads around the area. But also those things that really matter to people are the cost of living. That's something that we need to be holding the government to account and demanding that they do a lot more for working people.
A Labour win in West Lancashire was perhaps never in doubt. The seat has been red since 1992, but it wasn't a great night for the government, who saw their worst result here since the constituency was created. Senior Labour politicians say it shows the time has come for a general election.
The people of West Lancashire were sending a clear message to the government that they're no longer governing in the national interest. People want a change. People want, increasingly, a Labour government to sort out the mess that the Conservatives have made.
West Lancashire was a safe Labour seat and it was a low turnout. Is Labour getting a little ahead of itself here?
Well, there was a more than 10% swing, so we're really pleased with that result, and I know that the Conservatives seeing their vote share fall below 30% will be a deep disappointment, but it's a consistent message wherever these by-elections are now.
It's true that 3 North West by-elections in as many months have seen growing Labour majorities seemingly taken direct from the Conservatives. Forecasters say a similar swing nationwide would hand Labour a thumping majority. But North West Conservatives say they're not worried. With the general election up to 18 months away, they're focused on the bigger picture.
Traditionally, governments always perform relatively poorly in by-elections. The idea that Conservatives 12 years into power could have won this seat were probably not realistic, but we're proud of the campaign. Rishi has a 5-point plan to deliver on the priorities that matter to British people. The whole of the Conservative Party is behind him.
Whichever political spin proves true, by-election season is at an end. When MPs head back to Westminster after recess, the North West will have a full cohort of MPs once again. Lisa McNally, ITV News.
Ambulance workers from Unison have been on strike again today. It's because of their continuing row with the government over paying conditions. The union says emergency calls are still being answered. The next ambulance strike is due on the 20th of this month.
The jury in the Lucy Letby trial has heard how one of her alleged victims cried inconsolably and must have been in extreme pain at the time of her death.
It's alleged Letby made 3 attempts to kill child I before succeeding on the 4th. She denies all the charges against her. Our correspondent Mel Barham was in court today. Mel?
Yeah, we heard more evidence this morning from a medical expert, Dr. Sandy Bohin, in relation to the death of baby I. Now, nurse Luce Letby is accused of murdering the baby, who we can't name for legal reasons, back in October 2015. The expert told the jury that, in her opinion, baby I's death was caused by air being injected into her bloodstream. It's alleged Letby made 3 attempts to kill the baby before succeeding on the 4th attempt. Under cross-examination, the expert was asked why she came to her conclusion. She told the jury that the baby was very distressed at the time of her collapse. This was inconsolable crying, she said, which is extremely unusual. Child I was in pain and must have been in extreme pain to be that distressed. She said there was no pathological cause to explain the collapses other than an air embolism.
And Mel, we also heard about another baby.
That's right, yes. The jury also began hearing evidence today about baby Jay, a baby girl who nurse Lucy Letby is accused of attempting to murder back in November 2015. Now, baby Jay was born prematurely at 32 weeks at the Countess of Chester Hospital. Her mother gave evidence this afternoon explaining that her baby had had emergency surgery at Alderhay Hospital the day after she was born after problems with her bowel. Now, she was given 2 stomas. That's when part of the bowel is left outside the body to allow the bowel to rest. She said baby Jay had been returned to the Countess of Chester Hospital, where she was doing really well, and they were preparing to take her home when she suffered 2 what she described as unexplained collapses. Later, she told the court that she'd raised concerns with staff about the level of care at the Countess of Chester Hospital compared to that which she'd received at Alderhay. But those concerns weren't taken very seriously, she said. Lucy Letby is accused of murdering 7 babies and attempting to murder 10 others between June 2015 and June 2016. She denies all the charges against her, and the trial will continue on Monday.
All right, Mel, thank you.
You're watching Granada Reports. Lots still to come on the programme tonight, including...
Can Bolton Wanderers mark a milestone moment with a win?
And in the weather, a bit wet in places today, but some of us didn't mind. What weekend prospects are on the cards, though? All the details coming up.
A school in Merseyside is hoping to offer young people a path away from antisocial behaviour and to solve social issues outside of the classroom.
Everton Free School offers an alternative for teenagers excluded from mainstream education and hopes to deter them from a life of crime, as Tim Scott reports.
I'm in the corner watching you kiss her. Oh.
16-year-old Lexi sings her heart out, but before she started at the Everton Free School, she never sang in public. She's one of the many children who attend here that were excluded from mainstream education but have turned their lives around thanks to the unique way the school works.
It's like 8 to 9 students in a class. I feel like I can just get my head down in a class now because there's only a certain amount. In mainstream, there's like 40 kids in a class and like everyone's shouting, you're like, we're all looking everywhere, don't even get to do your work. But in here, I feel like I can focus because I'm in a short class. I've been through so much in schools, in and out of schools, not going to school because of certain reasons. And in here, I do appreciate everything the teachers have done for me.
The school was set up with the Everton in the Community charity. It's just a few hundred yards from Goodison Park, and this year it's celebrating its 10th anniversary. Both staff and pupils are rightly proud of its record of getting the kids engaged in school life after many of them have had real difficulties in regular mainstream education.
Individual schools might say to us, listen, we've got a student who's potentially in crisis. We'd like you to work with them and help turn them around and help them make better choices.
So what is it you do here that the children's old school, their traditional school, can't do?
We're a free school, so we're allowed to have a curriculum that we think works for these students. So we develop individual pathways for them all. We'll have the core curriculum, so English, Maths, double award science and PE. But then we'll look at vocational qualifications that really engage the students.
She'll be able to see some lines, Lily, yeah? And then we'll be able to take our measurements and see if we can draw.
The small class sizes means pupils get more attention off their teachers and more one-to-one help. The school also boasts its own educational psychologist, speech therapists and family support workers. It means the children are offered far more than just the school curriculum.
There's more chance to get to know a teacher, and the teacher gets to know the kids on a more of a wider scale, so they know what goes on at home. They know how things goes on where you're from, like what you've come into really, where you've been to where you are now. So there's more understanding. They set you up to go into the real world.
The Everton Free School is now working with the government to explore using its teaching model in other institutions, and it's hoped it will enjoy at least another 10 years of turning children's education around. Tim Scott, ITV News, Liverpool.
Yeah, decade of fantastic work.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, here's what's still to come on the ITV News at 6:30 with Lucrezia.
Time is running out in Turkey and Syria, where the earthquake death toll has climbed to more than 22,000. But amidst the tragedy, a glimpse of joy, remarkable stories of survival as families are pulled from the rubble 5 days on. Here, the UK economy avoids recession, but the Chancellor warns we're not out of the woods yet. And Jill Scott opens the first of 23 new football pitches named after the Euro-winning Lionesses. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Well, time for sport now, and Manchester City's manager has defended the club today after being charged with breaking Premier League rules. David's here. What's Pep Guardiola had to say then?
Yeah, Pep Guardiola has been very defiant today about this. Of course, his pre-match press conference was dominated by one topic, and that was the charges that have been brought against Manchester City. They've been brought against them by the Premier League, who accused them of breaking their financial fair play rules 115 times since 2009. Of course, this isn't the first time that the English champions have had their finances in the spotlight. European football's governing body, UEFA, actually charged and found them guilty of breaking their FFP rules. That decision, though, was later overturned by the Court of Sport for Arbitration for Sport. Pep today said that he feels that they were vindicated then and they will be vindicated once again.
I don't know in other countries, but in this country, everyone is innocent until, proven guilty, and didn't happen. So when UEFA was the sentence, he is not even that. And we are already, what is going to happen? What is going to happen? What happened? We are innocent. Who's going to get back, return our damage?
Defiant and then some from Pep. What's the situation with his position at the club? Did he say anything, any risk he might walk away?
No, equally defiant on that as well. He said there is no threat of that happening, he said today. Of course, this whole process could last for months, even go on for years. And now if City are found guilty, then they could face heavy punishments. They could be docked points. They could even be kicked out of the Premier League. But Pep says he's not fazed by any of that.
We were in main road. We were not a team who won a long history, a lot of titles. We have been in the low divisions. We'll be back there. Not a problem, just in case. We'll call Paul Dickoff, Mike Summerby, and we will do again a good process. We'll be back. I'm pretty sure. Now I don't want to move on. No, because the people say, yeah, if they lied to you, Pep, they didn't lie to me.
Well, Pep trusts those running the club. Others will take more convincing, though, and this is going to hang over City for some time. Well, turning to matters on the pitch, and City are at home to Aston Villa on Sunday, while United go to Leeds. On Monday, it's the Merseyside derby. Ahead of that one, Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp is defended, giving his players 2 days off this week, following their heavy defeat to Wolves. Well, they lost 3-0 and dropped to 10th in the Premier League table, but Klopp says the break has been worthwhile.
In Germany, this question would have come much earlier. How can you give them 2 days off when you're in the situation you are in? That wouldn't be helpful at all. It would have been bad. It would have caused injuries. It would have caused a lot of problems. And to be honest, on Sunday, after we spoke about everything, I thought 100% it makes sense that we don't see each other for 2 days.
Well, next to a bit of nostalgia for Bolton Wanderers. This is their team photo from 1951 with legend Nat Lofthouse right in the middle of the picture. And this weekend, the club will reach a landmark in its 148-year history when it plays in its 5,000th league game. Well, ahead of that impressive achievement, Chris Hall has been looking back at some of Bolton's highs and lows over the years.
When Christchurch FC struggled to find a permanent home, they became known as Bolton Wanderers. They scored the Football League's first ever goal in 1888, but their founder member status may have surprised their rivals.
Bolton Wanderers weren't even the biggest team in Bolton. You know, there were a lot of clubs around the area, and we were fortunate that we got invited to join the Football League.
While Bolton won the FA Cup 4 times, league success eluded them. And not long after Nat Lofthouse conquered Wembley, Bolton slipped down to the 3rd division in darker times.
The will was different when we went through the 3-day week and things like that. We were actually playing on a Wednesday afternoon rather than a Wednesday night because the floodlights, they couldn't have the floodlights on. I mean, that was turning the clock back to the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. All the mills shut down on a Wednesday afternoon. So people on a Wednesday afternoon, they then go to the game. So it was turning the clock back to how it used to be.
It goes for Wellington, who cracks it into the back of the net.
After a First Division stint in the 70s came a slide to Division 4 in the 80s, until a unique group of characters transformed their fortunes and gave nightmares to the biggest clubs in England.
You had to have thick skin because you had the mickey took out of you on a daily basis, and if you made mistakes in training you were given some stick for it. But the camaraderie was there, and Bruce Rioch as a manager instilled that into the players. And once we started winning the league games and then the cup games came along, we beat the likes of Everton and Arsenal and Liverpool, and then we played in the cup final as well. So it was a stepping stone for Bolton to go on to greater things.
De Freitas, Bolton go into the Premiership.
David's generation earned promotion to the Premier League twice and bid farewell to a ground with a supermarket in its architecture. They checked out of Burnden Park in style.
People used to take the mickey out of us and said it wasn't a stadium, it was a shopping mall, but the atmosphere was fantastic. Oppositions were intimidated, the pitch was never the best, so you had to have a good first touch. It brought us some great success.
The framework was in place for a new Bolton Wanderers, one which spent 11 straight years in the Premier League and brought big names to Big Sam's dressing room.
JJ, Hierro, Campo and Alka. I don't think they really got the credit they deserved for the way they played. They were very intricate. Yeah, I mean, to get to Europe and achieve what they did was phenomenal.
We want answers! We want answers!
It's a scar of their struggles since that they already have 5,000 league results, when their financial crisis, which nearly killed the club 4 years ago, left them unable to field a team. The Football League awarded Brentford a 1-0 win. But at Peterborough tomorrow comes their 5,000th actual league match for a club on the up.
Means even more knowing the journey that we've been on at this football club. We almost lost it, which would have been an absolute travesty. If people can remember my era here and the era that these players achieved something incredibly special from League Two to the Championship and beyond, then something we'll be extremely proud of.
With promotion in their sights again, the next 5,000 memories may quickly include one of their finest. Chris Hall, ITV News, Bolton.
Getting that winning feeling. FOW, sponsors of the Granada Sport Report.
The Women's Super League now, and revenge is on the mind of Manchester City, who face Arsenal tomorrow, just 3 days after they knocked them out of the League Cup. Well, a sellout crowd of more than 7,000 is expected for the game. Well, that would be a record at City's Academy Stadium, and there's a lot at stake with the two sides, 3rd and 4th in the table, level on points.
These are the games you want to win, basically, and to be knocked out of the Conti Cup, we're gutted about it. We're not happy, and we know how important it is winning from Arsenal in the league. I think it will take us into the top 3 in the table, so it's incredibly important. Well, we are sold out, I think I can say that. It's incredibly important for all the fans to be here and to help us and be a 12th, 13th player. So they're incredibly important, and it's very good that they're here.
Yeah, big crowd, big game. Should be a cracker as well.
Should be a good one.
Thank you very much, David.
Well, finally tonight, she's a Manchester singer-songwriter who has a growing fan base on the other side of the world. Yes, Nina Cobham's music is a fusion of Spanish and English after she moved to Spain as a child.
Her second EP's out today and is already in some very big-name playlists. Nina's been chatting to Elaine Wilcox for the latest in our Introducing series.
Summer love, kissing all my friends, it's a little self-care, leaving them again in the middle of. Summer love, kissing all my friends, it's a little self-care, leaving them again.
Nina Cobham's father was a music-loving missionary, so she grew up in Spain, writing songs and learning the keyboard in primary school, taking up guitar when she moved back to Manchester.
So when you're in Spain and it's sunny and you're on the beach, is that a different kind of feel to the music to when you're at home in Manchester and it's raining?
Yeah, definitely. Because a lot of the songs that went out in 2020 and 2021, like the soundscape is a lot darker. It'd be fun to see if people can like choose which one they think is from where.
No tengo la paciencia para esto. Small talking just to see where conversation goes.
Nina describes her latest EP as a fusion, finding some lyrics easier to write in Spanish. What Is This was written in a house in the mountains, close to her family home, working with producers via Zoom in the US.
Recording stuff either on phone voice memos, or I'll record stuff into my mic and we'll just send stuff backwards and forwards and work over the phone. So it works for me. I love it. I get to sit in my little space, and yeah, it is nice to work in person though as well when they came over to Spain.
At just 21, she has a growing fan base in South America, and she's on the playlist of stars like Demi Lovato and Christina Aguilera.
I think I have videos of me screaming. There's a couple of other bigger artists as well that I've had texts of like, oh, she listens to your music while getting ready for shows.
Who's that?
Becky G. My favourite artists are people like Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald and different people like that. But in terms of starting music and kind of the influence of that, I would probably genuinely say my dad and like my family.
Nina's been tipped as the one to watch in 2023 and can't wait to hear her fans singing her new songs.
One of the best feelings I think I've ever had.
Pero qué pena, love alone is not enough, then how'd it work so well for us?
Sounds fab, doesn't it? Definitely one to add to the playlist this weekend, I think.
Absolutely. Follow the example of all those big name stars. Let's get the weather. Here's Emma.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello there. It's Friday evening. The weekend is here at last. And many of you have been enjoying park life over the last 24 hours and some good sunny spells yesterday. It was cloudier today with quite a lot of low cloud mist and drizzle in places, and often cloudy going forward, but mostly dry. However, quite blustery tonight, as indeed it was today across the Isle of Man and at the coast and also over the tops of the hills. But more on that in just a second. Now, high pressure to the south is dominating over the next few days. It's a great sprawling high, a blocking high. It's trapping lots of cloud at lower levels and drawing up air from the south over the weekend, hence the milder temperatures that we are expecting. Just rewinding though to the next few hours, the winds peak across the Isle of Man and across the tops of the Pennines late evening time, and then they ease down by tomorrow morning. But at their height, they could get up to 40-45 mile an hour gusts above 400 metres across the tops of the North Pennines, and maybe gusts of 35 miles an hour across the Isle of Man. They're always a bit breezier at the coast. Elsewhere, temperatures not falling further or a lot further than our daytime values, but we will be frost-free and fog-free mostly overnight tonight. Sun's up tomorrow at 7:39, sets at 12 minutes past 5. So a bit of a breezy morning, although the wind will be easing right down, and into the afternoon more in the way of brighter spells than there were today. And I think any cloud that's drifting around is going to be higher level clouds, so with lighter winds, more in the way of brighter breaks and slightly milder temperatures. It shouldn't be feeling too bad at all. There is the risk of a little patchy frost overnight into Sunday, but some brighter spells around. Yes, quite a lot of cloud, but still brighter spells, and that's the way of things over the next few days as well. That's it. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Not looking too bad for the weekend, thanks Emma. That's it for Granada Reports this Friday evening. I'll be back with our late update after news at 10.
Yeah, from the whole team right across the Northwest, thank you for watching. We appreciate your company. Have yourself a good evening and a great weekend.
See you later. Bye-bye.